Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Miss Laura here, and welcome to our Read Aloud for today. I'm so excited you could join me. Today, I have a book that I am so thrilled I get to read with you all. It's one that's very near and dear to my heart because I read it a lot when I was a kid. It features a fairy tale that you might have heard, but I guarantee this version is quite different from the one you're familiar with. Can you guess what it is? It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Well, this version's just called Goldilocks. This version of Goldilocks was written by an actor, comedian, and cook who was very active through the 70s through 90s. His name was Dom Deluise. This is his picture right here. Your caregivers probably know who he is. Now, Dom Deluise as an author is very fun to read because he likes to embellish a lot of details in his writing. That means he likes to add a lot of extra silly and fun details to his characters' dialogue, making his books very engaging to read even all these years later. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and turn on your listening ears. Once upon a time, in a forest far away, lived a beautiful little girl with the most gorgeous blonde hair you ever saw. It was very long, very shiny, and very curly. I mean, it really got your attention. Even the birds loved to play with her hair. And look, you can already see Goldilocks and the Three Bears being introduced on the first page. In the forest, if you were a very, very tall man, why, they would call you the Giant. Figures. And if you snarled at people all the time, they would call you Grumpy. Makes sense. So it was only natural that this beautiful girl with gorgeous, long, blonde, shiny, curly hair should be called Goldilocks. She must have had a real name long ago, but this story is so old that no one remembers it. Everybody just knew her as Goldilocks. Goldilocks had such beautiful hair. People were always complimenting her on how wonderful she looked. And pretty soon, she began to think so too. And that's when her troubles really began. Her mother and father would say, "Goldilocks, you cannot go out and play until you have finished all your homework." But because Goldilocks was so spoiled and headstrong, she would often disobey them. Uh-oh. Let me put it to you this way. She was a girl who just wouldn't take no for an answer. She's not being a first-time listener. One day, when she was supposed to be doing her homework, Goldilocks decided to go for a walk in the woods instead. Let's take a moment and just celebrate this beautiful art style. I love all the details on the animals, the trees. Would you like to live in a forest like this one? After a while, she came to an adorable little cottage. I'd have to say I agree. Miss Laura would love to live in a cottage like that. Everything about the house was so inviting. The little white picket fence, the flowers growing along the pathway to the door, tulips, pansies, even snapdragons, her favorite. Before you could say Rumpelstiltskin, Goldilocks was knocking on the door. No one answered. She pulled on the bell. Ring, ring. Still no one answered. She tried the door. It was open. "Anyone home?" she shouted. And guess what? No one answered. Anyone else would have left, but not our Goldilocks. Now, friends, was it a safe choice for Goldilocks to go into a house that does not belong to her? Definitely not. What do you think is going to happen next? As luck would have it, the cottage was home to Mr. and Mrs. Bear and their baby, Baby Bear. The bears were married late in life by the wise old owl under the giant elm tree. Everyone came to the wedding. The rabbits, the birds, they provided the music. The deer, oh, they're so dear. And even Mr. and Mrs. Skunk, but they sat way in the back. Now, this particular morning, Mama Bear, who is very domestic and a Julia Childs fan, ask your caregivers who that is. had made a big pot of delicious... Let's press pause. Now this is a point of the story that is cloudy. She either made porridge, which is a hot cereal, very good with honey, and bears love honey, or else she made a delicious pot of hot soup, pasta e fagioli.
She made it with macaroni and beans. Oh, and bears love beans too. I've heard the story both ways. It for sure wasn't ham and eggs. If you ask me, it was pasta e fagioli. So let's go with the soup. Okay.
The soup was so hot when it came to the table that Papa Bear said,
"Let's take a walk while this soup cools off."
That's where the bears were when Goldilocks came to the door. When Goldilocks walked into the house, she could smell something delicious. She tasted Papa Bear's soup. "Oh my!" she cried. "This soup is too hot." Then she slid over towards Mama Bear's soup. "Yuck! This soup is too cold," she shuddered. Then, you guessed it, she sampled Baby Bear's soup. "Yum, yum," she said smilingly. "This soup is just right." And she ate it all up. You know, I wonder about that girl's manners. No one home, and she invites herself to lunch? How would you feel if someone got into your very delicious soup? Now, anyone else might have left, but not our Goldilocks. She thought she'd have a little rest first, so she sat down in Papa Bear's chair. "Oh dear," she moaned. "This chair is much too hard." Then she scooted over to Mama Bear's chair, and it was soon clear that it was much too soft. "This chair is much too soft," she said. Then, you guessed it, she moved over to Baby Bear's chair, a gift he had just gotten from Auntie Bay Bear. Down she sat, and she said, "This chair is just right." Then guess what? Boom! Crash! I do believe that Goldilocks was big for her age, because this chair broke. I mean, really broke. A leg went here, the seat went plop, a leg went there, and the back went flop. Goldilocks landed on the floor with a smack, and her backside hurt so much she almost cried. How would you have reacted if you accidentally broke a chair? Now, you would think that once you have broken a chair, you might slow down a bit, or think things over, or maybe leave. But not our Goldilocks. She gathered herself up, and before you could say, "Jump, Jack, jump," she was upstairs lying on Papa Bear's bed. "Oh no," she cried. "This bed is much too hard." And she scooted over to Mama Bear's bed. "Oh no," she moaned as she sank. "This bed is much too soft." Then, you guessed it, into Baby Bear's bed she climbed. "Why, this bed is just right," she said, as she snuggled under the covers. She placed her head on the pillow and fell fast asleep. Let's face it, Goldilocks had a busy day and was ready for a nap. In another part of the forest, Papa Bear looked at his watch and said,
Let's go home. The soup should be cool enough to eat by now."
When they arrived, the first thing they noticed was that the door was open. "I'm positive I closed that door when we left," said Mama Bear. When they went inside, Papa Bear shouted,
"Someone has been eating my soup!"
"Oh!" exclaimed Mama Bear. "Someone has been eating my soup too!" "And look!" cried Baby Bear. "Someone has been eating my soup! And oh no! It's all gone!" Then,
"Look! Oh, look!" said Papa Bear. "Someone has been sitting in my chair."
I don't know for sure how he could tell, but they say that Mama Bear was very domestic, very neat, and an expert at fluffing pillows. That means she liked to take good care of all the stuff in her house. "You're right, Papa Bear. And look, someone has been sitting in my chair too," said Mama Bear. Now Baby Bear was almost afraid to look, And sure enough, when he did, his worst fears were realized. "Someone has been sitting in my chair," he said. "And look, oh look, it's all broken." And Baby Bear started to cry real tears. Mama Bear comforted her baby bear.
"Shh! That someone may still be here," said Papa Bear,
as he grabbed a tennis racket and slowly started up the stairs. Mama Bear clung to Baby Bear as they followed closely behind.
"Look, look," whispered Papa Bear. "My bed! Someone has been sleeping in my bed!"
"Someone has been sleeping in my bed too," answered Mama Bear. "Oh, wow, look!" hollered Baby Bear. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed too! And she's still in it!" Do you think that woke up Goldilocks? Well, at that very moment, you're right, Goldilocks woke up and was so surprised to see the three bears looking down at her that she let out a noise that startled everyone. Ah! Mama Bear, never known to be a calm person, nearly dropped Baby Bear, which really frightened Papa Bear, who tried to catch Baby Bear with a tennis racket, scaring Goldilocks and causing her to fall out the bed. Whoa-wee! Everyone was running around and screaming, and for a while there, it was really a mess. But by the time they worked their way downstairs and near the front door, things got calmer and a little clearer. Goldilocks apologized, and Mama Bear invited her to lunch. Fortunately, Mama Bear had made a big pot of soup, and before you could say anti-establishmentarianism, Papa Bear had fixed Baby Bear's chair, and Goldilocks and the three bears sat down to a lovely lunch of soup and corn muffins with honey. And bears love honey, as we know. Goldilocks' mother was very concerned about her little girl, and boy, oh boy, was she relieved when Goldilocks finally came home. And the next time she told Goldilocks she couldn't go out until she did her homework, the little girl didn't even think about disobeying. Our Goldilocks had learned her lesson all right. Sometimes, after her homework was done, Goldilocks would visit her new friends, the three bears. From time to time, she would bring them homemade corn muffins. They would all sit down for a lovely lunch of soup and corn muffins and have a good laugh about the interesting way they had met. Goldilocks would spread honey on the corn muffins. Oh, bears do love honey. And oh, the three bears did love Goldilocks. And that is the end of our tale. Now, I love how at the end of this version, Goldilocks realizes that she made some not so great choices and apologized to the three bears. And the three bears were also able to fix the things that she had broken. And after that, what happened? They all became friends. Now, one final page that I want to share with you all is the recipes featured in this story. As I said in the beginning, Dom Deluise was not only a comedian and an actor, he was also a cook. And he loved to make all kinds of Italian food because he was Italian. And one great thing about this soup, if you have any vegan friends, just nix the cheese and mwah, it's good for everybody. You never know if you'll run into a bear. Well, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for this story time today. If you would like to be featured in my intro for our next video, be sure to send an audio clip of your class saying, "Hi, Miss Laura." Stay tuned for my next set of videos, friends. I hope to see you soon. Bye!